A man has been jailed for nearly 30 years after repeatedly stabbing his victim and leaving him for dead in a bid to rob him. Andrew Marangos, who's 43, was found guilty of attempted murder and 2 counts of possession of an offensive weapon in a public place on the 5th of December at Snaresbrook Crown Court. Mr. Marangos was sentenced immediately to 28 years in prison and is to serve 2/3 of his sentence, and he is not to be released without permission of the parole board. The court heard that the victim, who's 60 years old, had met Marangos several times before the attack. On Tuesday the 11th of January, the associate picked up Marangos near his address in Enfield, and police have released details stating the victim drove to Swan Way and pulled up. Marangos then began looking through his pockets, claiming to look for cash. The victim found it unusual and suggested the cash might be in his top pocket. Marangos then hit his victim over the head with a metal bar, knocking him unconscious. The suspect stabbed his victim 6 times, 5 times in the neck and once in the lung, puncturing it. The victim later regained consciousness and realized he was severely injured with a pool of blood around him. Marangos, in an attempt to rob him, started shouting, "Where is it? Where is it?" referring to the drugs. In an effort to try and get help, the injured victim began to honk his car horn, and the offender then ran around the driver's side and asked the victim again where the drugs were. Marangos was told to search the boot. In another attempt to try and get aid, the victim dangled his legs out of the car and shouted for help. Marangos hurried over and rammed the door against the victim's leg several times. After asking Marangos how he was going to get away with such crimes, he replied, "Don't worry, you're not going to be here to see that." The victim debated whether he should tell Marangos where the drugs were, but Marangos soon fled the scene and a passerby rushed to assist the victim. The casualty was taken to hospital with life-threatening injuries and treated for his wounds in an emergency surgery. The victim's leg had to be amputated as a result of the brutal attack by Marangos. Police spoke with the victim and told him that his attacker went by the name of Andy, unaware of the criminal's full name. However, after officers examined the victim's phone, they identified Marangos as the suspect. On the 15th of January, detectives went to the suspect's home and recovered a metal pole, a butterfly knife with the victim's blood on it, and shoes that corresponded with CCTV footage of a person seen fleeing the scene on the day of the attack. Footage also revealed an hour after the attack, Marangos was seen buying alcohol and painkillers. The police also found that Marangos' phone had been discarded or switched off after the attack and not used in a bid to cover his tracks. Marangos was taken to North London Police Station and answered no comment to all the questions put to him. However, he was charged on Saturday the 15th of January for his crimes. Detectives have said Marangos is a very dangerous individual and an acute risk to the public. They said he clearly intended to kill the victim, exemplified by the sheer brutal and sustained force he used, armed with 2 dangerous weapons and leaving him for dead, the Detective Inspector Paul Ridley from the North Area CID said. Absolute madness, guys. A man who repeatedly stabbed his victim and left him for dead in a brutal attack, and the victim ended up losing the leg, all over drugs and money, has been jailed for nearly 30 years. It's your boy JT. Keep it locked, keep it real.